Here, for example, is a lecture on computer science or the principles of computers, or a lecture on the principles of computing. This is the name of the lecture. You should name it however you want. You should call it by the comparative name. I want to put a description that this lecture or lectures on the principles of computer science on Sundays and Tuesdays, for example, every week. What kind of lectures are these? Something like that. A brief description that shows the students your lecture times. I want to write it down. I don't want to write it in your style, principles of computing, on Sunday. And Tuesdays, every week. For example, as well, this is a clarification of the print. Now let's get to the important talk. When is your lecture? I have the lecture. Here is the date, because today is the 30th of January. I'm clicking. Here, my results appear. So if you want to start scheduling from today, that's fine. If you want to start scheduling from next week, no problem. So I will start scheduling from today. It's currently 4:30, so I will start, for example, a class now. If you look, you can start at 4:00, 4:30, or 1:30. There's no 4:15, Dr. Sami, and there's no 4:10. Let's assume my lecture starts at 4:10, for example. It starts at 4:10, for example. The lecture, for example, starts at approximately 4:15, for instance. Or perhaps, for example, it starts at around 8:15, or maybe it starts at 8:33. I notice here that it's going 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, or 10, 11, 11.5 or so. And it was, of course, with M meaning problems. M stands for issues. Okay, for example, if I want to start at 4:40 minutes, okay, 4:40 minutes. So I'm going to click on a minute like this, and pay attention to me now. Click on it on the same button with one press like this, and write like this from the keyboard, and two dots on top of each other. And I write 40 from the keyboard and press end. That's it. So Dr. Sami, I can just write my starting time however I want. It's not necessary to stick to the value he set. You can choose from it. No, it's totally fine. If I want to start at 4:30 and 5, I can write 4:35, write 4, then shift with two dots like this, and then 3 and 5. No problem at all. So you're saying my lecture starts today on the 31st of 2024 at 4:30 and 5. It's 4:30 and 5. Good evening. Of course, here it's in the morning. AM is in the morning and PM is in the evening. All right, after that, this is the start of the lecture. When duration is the time of the lecture. I must say, your lecture is incredibly insightful and engaging. The way you present the material is not only informative, but also captivating, making it easy to understand complex concepts. I truly appreciate the effort you put into making the lecture so good and beneficial for everyone attending. So 15 is an hour and a quarter. Okay, I want my lecture to be, for example, an hour and a half. Here, an hour and a half. I want the lecture to be 2 hours. So from here, 2 hours, and you set this to 0. All right? So these are the hours and these are the minutes. Is this clear to everyone? Clear to everyone? So I'm going to set my lecture here for 3 hours so we can continue, so we can get into the time zone and see all its tools. The time zone is very important, guys. The time zone, I set it to what? To Riyadh. In Riyadh time. Of course, each country sees you choose its capital. So if you happen to have a vacation and you go to another country, then your time is different from your student's time. So you need to choose the timing here correctly. Saudi Arabia is an hour ahead of Cairo. 4:30 here is 3:30 there. Here, Saudi Arabia is 1 hour ahead of Cairo. So if it's 4:30 here, it will be 3:30 there. You need to be careful when you enter, because you're entering an hour earlier. You have to pay attention to where you are, so everything is fine. So I'm choosing Riyadh here. I'm choosing Riyadh here because I'm in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So keep in mind, if you, for example, have a specific trip for a conference or anything, and you have lectures tied to those lectures, I would look for the letter R and select Riyadh, which is an important location. Now, about the recurring meeting. Recurring means something that repeats. Session repetition, I'm not telling you the schedule for the whole semester. If you are giving a lecture, you are giving a lecture, and that's it. A lecture or a meeting. You don't need this. But if you created a semester schedule, scheduling the semester lectures all at once, then you need to click on the arrow and check this box here. As soon as I checked the box for session repetition, it asked me how many times I want to repeat this session. So pay attention with me. How many times do you want to repeat this session? Do you want it to be daily or not? No, I want it to be every week. As soon as I checked the box for session repetition, it asked me how many times I want to repeat this session. So pay attention with me. How many times do you want to repeat this session? Do you want it to be daily or not? No, I want it to be every week. Every week, I mean weekly. I want it to be weekly. So once a week? Yeah, once a week. But if I choose 2 here, yeah, that means it will be every other week, once this week and once the next. So every 2 weeks. This session will be every 2 weeks. What about the entire session? There's a weekly lecture. And for me at the university, it has to be on one day. Why? So it can be weekly. Weekly. So this lecture is just one lecture, like on Tuesday. Or on Sunday, for example. If I do it on Sunday like that, all right, this lecture is on Sunday, so today is Tuesday. He will divorce the 3. Why? Because today is actually Tuesday. He puts a pointer like that on Tuesday, so I'm telling you, you can schedule it for Wednesday. It's fine. So this lecture is scheduled weekly on Wednesdays. So someone tells me this lecture, doctor, can I have it on Wednesday, for example, or Tuesday? And I have it on Sunday, for example. The most important thing is that at the same time, it starts at 4:30 and 5 and at different times. And at different times, you will have another session. But if it's the same time, you can do it this way. Let's set the time to show you the difference between the two. You have a lecture every Tuesday. Every week you have a lecture. It starts at 4:30 and lasts for 3 hours. Here, I'm telling you that you want to schedule it for your end. It's the end of your term. I'll tell him that it's the end of my term. I'll click on this. It will simply and easily show me the result quickly and efficiently, or the calendar. And I'll tell him that I have, let's say, until the month of May, perhaps, for example, or until approximately May 31. May 31. He will schedule it for you. Weekly lectures until this date, every Tuesday of every week, just once a week on Tuesday. Until when? May 31st, until the end of May, June 10th, before exams. That's it. Lecture's done. So someone might ask me, what about the one next to it, Dr. Sami? If you don't want to go by the date and you want to go by, e.g., I'm calculating how many weeks on Tuesday. I have 16 weeks and 3 weeks have passed, so I still have 13 weeks left. I have 13 sessions. I won't go by date. I have 13 weeks. Choose 13. How many repeats? 13 sessions on Tuesday. Every 13 sessions on Tuesday. So someone might ask me, what about the one next to it, Dr. Sami? Well, if you don't want to go by the date and you want to go by, for example, I'm calculating how many weeks do I have on this Tuesday, Dr. Sami? I have 16 weeks and 3 weeks have passed, so I still have 13 weeks left, which means I will have 13 sessions, but I don't know how long the term will last, so I won't go by the date, and I'll tell him I still have 13 weeks. This language, it doesn't move by the date, and I tell him I still have 13 weeks. I let him know to choose 13. So how many times will it repeat for you? 13 sessions on Tuesday, every 13 sessions on Tuesday. So he will tell me, this guarantees me, because I know that there are 13 weeks in the term. That's how it is. So he will tell me that there are holidays and a girl and something like that, and this guarantees that I make it 16 weeks. You will subscribe to Facebook? I'm doing it 10 times so that it's clear in front of you. I had done it 10 times, 10 sessions, one session every week, one session every week. This is if you want to go by the date, and this is if you want to go by how many times. How many sessions does that mean? Is that clear, everyone? Clear to everyone? One light.